Donnie B, GotDaBeats.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Beat. I'm Donnie B, GotDaBeats. I'm your host, and we about to get into this. You know what time it is. It's time for that glorious intro, y'all. So today's guest is a real good friend of mine, man. He's a brother, man. Like I've known this dude for a couple years now. Back from the DMV, my days of stomping around in the DMV. It's funny, both of us are no longer in the DMV like that right now. But you know, it is what it is. The love still carries over to the West Coast. But I gotta say, I was always impressed with this young man, how he carried himself. I was always impressed with his candor, his demeanor, the way he, his work ethic, everything that he put in the universe. I don't want to sound that narcissistic, but it just reminded me of me. And anybody that's like that, I'm like, yo, I gotta make sure I look after this young man. And it's been G ever since. He's been nothing but cordial, nothing but respectful, and if not nothing else, very humble. And I love that about this guy, man. This is my dude. Make sure y'all look out for him. I got mix engineer, songwriter, super music producer, Tone Down for What. What's going on with you, brother?
What's going on, Donnie? Pleasure.
Hey.
Thank you for having me here, man.
No worries, man. Thank you. I know you work harder than me, brother. So I'm just honored to have you on the show. You know. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Definitely enjoying LA. Definitely a lot of work, especially this pandemic is kind of hitting us crazy, especially with inflation and everything going on. But I'm still here. So I can only thank God for that. So how you doing though? Good.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to be like you when I grow up. You know what I'm saying? Like one thing I can't say about you is that if you out here in LA, that means you working, brother. And that's one thing I do know. So I love it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but I'm good. Thank you for asking. But let's get straight to this, to the brass tacks, brother, so people can get to know who you are. Who is Tone Down for What?
Man, that's a good question. Tone Down for What is someone that just does what he wants to do in the sense of I try not to overthink a lot of things. Especially when I started music wise, it was just not. I was just pretty much living in the moment, and just allowing whatever to just flow and just manifest. So Tone Down for What, the name is actually funny. It came from back when I was in college. I used to throw parties all the time, and they used to call it Club Tones. I didn't make none of these names up. And my party used to just not get shut down, because I used to I would watch what time security would do their rounds, and then I'll start my party super late. Like people start their parties 10, 11 p.m., but I was starting 12, midnight, knowing that people not gonna be there till 12:30, 1 a.m. By that time, all the security was going down, so party never stopped. So that's what was Toned Down for What. You know what I'm saying? It never toned down. So that's how it came about, and I just pretty much stuck with it when it came to the music too.
I love it, man. I love it. You was that basically the after party, man. That's awesome.
Pretty much 5, 6 a.m. It was lit.
That's what's up. I never knew that. I never heard that story. So this is good information for me.
Yeah.
So you said what?
I said that's when I was lit crazy, doing whatever, getting lit tone. But I found a way to channel into something like super positive. So, I'm glad things turned out the way it is now.
Indeed, indeed. And we're gonna get into that a little bit later.
Mhm.
Growing up in, what was it like for you growing up? Where did you grow up, and what obstacles and hurdles did you overcome to become the super success that you are today?
Man, I had a very dynamic childhood. So, I lived in Africa for a little bit. I was born in the States, but I lived in Africa for a little bit because my dad was working there, and it was fun. I got to meet a lot of kids, especially the kids I went to school with. A lot of kids that were like me, that had parents that were working in Africa. So like a lot of us would be in the same schools. Um, I lived in West Africa, Ivory Coast, and then unfortunately there was a civil war that had happened. So a lot of us had to. Well, the company, it's my dad's job itself had to pretty much move into North Africa, into Tunisia. So I was up there for a few years, and then eventually after middle school, well, no, like seventh grade, that's when I moved back to New York, and I was there till I'll say I was supposed to be there, going into high school, and I moved into high school in Maryland. I moved to Maryland in high school like a couple months before my freshman year, and a lot of the times it was just a lot of starting over, meeting people, making new friends and such. Um, I wasn't really doing, as far as music wise, I wasn't really doing anything super music related. In fifth grade though, I did start playing the guitar. I was like that. I love the guitar for some reason. I don't know if it's because the media portrays the guitars against the girls. I don't know what it was, but I was just so intrigued by it. And my parents, they wouldn't get me one. And then one day, I think it was, yeah. So it was like the second half of the year. The school required a lot of students to have an after school activity program. So I signed up for a guitar class, and my parents asked, it was like, "Yo, are you gonna need a guitar for the class because you don't have one?" I was like, "No, no, no, they're gonna provide it," knowing well that eventually I was gonna have to get one.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of weeks later, I told my parents, I was like, "Yeah, mom, it's too late for me to change classes." They said I need a guitar, so they got me one. So
Okay.
they got me one. So yeah, then I know moved to New York, moved back to New York high school. I mean middle school. I was playing it not as much, and then freshman year, I mean like high school came. I joined like the men's chorus at DeMatha, Hyattsville. Shout out to DeMatha, and yeah, like that. I wasn't really thinking much of it. It was an extracurricular. I wanted to go on the band trip, so I was never really taking it seriously until college came. When I went to Penn State, one of my closest friends to this day, she was a rapper, and like it was just cool. I was like, damn, she a rapper. So I was always around her, and she was always doing music, and I always be that guy that would intimidate somebody singing and to be like, yo, you can kind of, hold a note. I'm like, sure, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually when I left Penn State, I was back home. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was kind of depressed, and then one day I don't know, it just happened. I just bought a bunch of equipment because I didn't know how studios work, So I got me a bunch of equipment. This was what 2014, 2014. I just got a bunch of stuff, and I was just figuring out how to record myself, and then it was literally a snowball effect. So it's like I didn't even realize what I was getting myself into. Then one day, my manager at Best Buy asked me, he was like, "What do you do outside of work?" I was like, "I'm trying this music thing." He was like, "Send me some stuff." And I didn't really have anything quality, but I just sent it over. He was like, "Yo, this is dope." So from then he hit up Baker, and he was just like, "Yo, like check this kid out. He's just starting up, but he got something in him." So then from there, then that's how I ended up meeting you. I ended up meeting Breeze. So it happened really like quickly. And I don't think a lot of people knew that I was literally just starting off. Like I was only doing it for like a few months, and then
Right.
here I am today.
Hey man, this is a great story. Like I said, the first half I didn't know. Shout out to all of the you know the family. You know, let's start with you know Baker, of course. You know, shout out to Breeze, of course. You know, people don't understand that they some hitters. It was some hitters, man. Like some people out there that really was moving in the background that may not be talked about topically, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
was very pivotal in setting a lot of stuff and things in motion. So again, shout out to
Mm-hmm.
those guys. I gotta ask your friend that you said was a rapper. Is it our mutual friend or is it
Yeah, you
somebody?
already know. Feisty the future. Shout out Feisty.
Nice to meet you. I just ain't want to be loud and wrong, brother. But shout out to
No, no,
Feisty.
no, for sure, for sure. You know, shout out to her. She really definitely pulled my ear when it came to this. Like, yo, you gotta try, you gotta do it. So I definitely gotta give her, you know, her flowers on that.
Indeed, indeed. So through all of that, oh, you know what? Backtrack. Okay, one last
Mhm.
question. You mentioned that you went to DeMatha, which I didn't know.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that. Uh, do you? How do you feel knowing that that you guys, your high school, basically started a fashion trend?
Really?
Yeah,
What was the trend?
the hoodie with the blazer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was a vibe, you know, like especially a lot of us were into extracurricular stuff, activities, and it used to get cold, so we always used to zip up the jacket and put the blazer on, or have the hoodie on and have the blazer on. So I don't know, like it's crazy. I didn't even realize we set a trend, you know, because coming from coming from Queens and moving to Maryland, like I honestly I was super behind when it came to fashion trends at all. You know,
Yeah.
like everything. Even it's dress down days. I used to dress up like a New York dude, and people would be like, "Yo, what the hell is you wearing?" You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was one of those things that to me just made sense. So then eventually I started doing it. I would either have my hoodie on and have the blazer on, or I have like my one of my sports fleeces on and just have
Yeah.
it on as well too. Especially you know when you're taking the bus and all that, like you know, it just made common sense. And you know, sometimes it was just cold. So I think I don't know who. Shout out to whoever came up with it. You know what I'm saying? But dude, I definitely adapted it too.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because actually LeBron James himself credited it. He called it the Dematha look.
Oh yeah,
So
he know. He
shout
sharp.
out.
He know.
So anyway, fast forward to you, back to you, brother. Who and or what were your inspirations with doing this? I mean, obviously you've been doing it, you've been going at it for some time, and like you say, you kind of fell into it. But who inspired you to get to this point, and even inspired you to push as hard as you do? Because, like I said, knowing you personally,
Mhm.
I know you. Like I said, are if not the hardest working person I know, you definitely in the top three. So, who inspired and inspires you to grind as hard as you do?
My haters saying I'm playing, but honestly, like I know there's a lot of people I gotta give credit to. Um, but to be honest, as hard as I was working, I think the main reason why I stuck to it was because for a while it was the only thing that was keeping me happy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I didn't do well in school academically, and that kind of hit hard because like when I came home, you know, I was thinking more so about okay, how do I redeem myself? How do I fix it? How do I do that? And I
Right.
really spiraled down like a lot of people didn't know because I was able to keep such a strong composure through it all. But like the more I reflect and think about it, it was bad. And I think that was the only thing that really just kept me happy, you know. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people kept saying, like, yo, like, you're good at this. You know what I'm saying? Like Marty will always say, like, bro, I didn't know that you just started. You know what I'm saying? And that's somebody that definitely pushed me as well too. And I don't know. I just kept going, and it felt like a lot of times it felt like a trance. But I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times I did doubt myself. Most of the time I did. You know what I'm saying? Because it was more so like, okay, you're out of school. What are you doing? You know, like,
Right.
do you really see this as a career? Do you really see this really going for anything like that? So I don't know. I think part of it was also trying to like to fight those doubts, to whoever was saying whatever, just to keep pushing going through. But to be honest, a lot of it just happened so fast. I mean, not fast, but it's like mentally, I was just so like in tune with what I was doing that
Right.
by the time I looked up, it jumped 4 or 5 years, you know. But definitely the people around me, Breeze was definitely on my case, man. I'm telling you, Breeze was always on my case. So that was, you know, I gotta give shout out to him, shout out to Donnie, because you just randomly gave me a bunch of stuff I had to literally go through in that hard drive, and I had no idea what I was looking at. So like little things like that really just, you know, pushed me. And of course my brothers, you know, my brothers, my sister. But yeah, honestly, I just stuck with it. I just pushed through it. A lot of people, like a few people that were like, yo, like you kind of good at this. I was like, all right, cool, you know. And it was just, to me, it was like I just felt like I was playing chess. That's really what it felt like. I felt like I was playing a game. Like, okay, cool. All right, how do I go from A to B? Then how do I go from B to C? Then I started working at a studio back. Shout out to Safe House. That's family. And everybody there kept pushing me as well too. You know what I'm saying? Keep going. Especially when I started coming out to LA, the support I have from them. At first I felt kind of bad. I was like, damn, I'm leaving them behind, you know. But you know, they just kept helping me push through, you know, whatever I needed, whatever resources they wanted to throw at me, they did. So I definitely did have support along the way when I really look back and think about it. But honestly, I just pushed through, man. So anybody hearing this is doubting themselves, don't believe in themselves, or think they too old, or whatever the case may be, like just push through, because at the end of the day, the people that we see on TV are just as human, and they're just as human as you and me. So
Right.
that's my answer to that.
That's facts. You know, it's funny that you say that. Little known fact, and I don't really want to get too deep into it, but I am officially in the music industry myself. You already know, we've already had this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just one of those things as to where, you know, you look on TV and you're like, wow, they made it, and they doing this and they doing that, and like me reporting to a brick and mortar, being in the industry now, and reporting to bosses and structure and hierarchies and so forth and so on, and then you look and then, oh, that's just such and such.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
for
mean?
sure.
And they're just like I said, like you said, real, just regular people. I mean, you know, people that I contact via Zoom and stuff like that, and it's just like, oh, hey, man, whatever, like, you know what I mean. But it's definitely a very big thing to understand, networking wise, in this industry, that the networking part of it isn't as hard as people make it seem. The networking
Yeah,
part of it is just to establish the relationship and let it organically flow from there. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
I think that was always one thing that I respected about you, is because you always had what I used to, when I used to manage artists. I used to always say, you got to have this thing, this gravity, where people just kind
Mhm.
of get flow to you, and it's an art, because not a lot of people know how to just kind of just be and allow people to come to them, or make people come to them without physically forcing these
Right.
things. But that was
Mhm.
always my takeaway from you, and I always recall the day I met you, because I believe it was you, it was Rick Debonair,
Mhm.
a couple other people in there. No, sorry, that was the day
Malik
y'all came to the
was there
studio.
too.
That was the day y'all came to the studio. The day I
Mhm.
met you was at your house, right?
No, I don't know. No, I think I met you at the studio. You did pull up to the crib, but I think that was after. But I think it was at the studio.
Okay, then yeah,
We had that
it's
session. Malik. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Malik was there. Like it was a bunch of. Funny thing is, I met Malik that same day.
And that's interesting, because I have yet to reach out. I haven't even talked to Malik in years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've talked to you and Rick obviously a lot more than him. Even Feisty, I haven't talked to Feisty in a long time either. You know what I mean? But just saying all that to say, it's just, you know, that day organically flowed very, very well for me. Like, I will always remember that day, because it was just, you guys were all credibly super talented and focused and driven, and I will always remember that day. You know what I mean? And I think it's a blessing for me to see y'all still doing y'all thing. That's why I always get like, especially with you and Rick being out here in LA now, it's just like, okay, y'all just y'all keeping the game going. You know what I mean? And it just does my heart so good to see out here in the real world doing it, still doing it and knocking it down, you know.
I appreciate it for sure.
Kudos. Now I had a question that you kind of pretty much answered already. It was like, how'd you become a music producer? You laid that story out. So I want to flip it on its ear and say, what was the day? Maybe it's a point in time, maybe it's a day, maybe it's what was that one time that you looked up and was just like you said, because you're always uber focused. And then you looked up, like you said, 5 years later. What was the day that you realized, shit, I'm a producer? Like not just like, oh, I make beats and people are rapping over. I'm talking about like you are in the industry and, you know, a part of the ebbs and flows of the game.
I don't even know. The funny thing about that question is, like, I definitely know it happened a few years back, but it's like every 6 months or a year, it's like then I tell myself, okay, now I'm really in this shit. Or like 6 months later, oh no, I'm really in this. Now I'm really in this. Like it keeps like escalating because it's like it's so crazy. I would say probably when I started working at a studio, I kind of told myself that, but being in the DMV, shout out to the DMV. But the reason why I decided to come out to LA was because I just felt like there was a whole world, like the thing about being in your city, you know, you kind of need to step out the city to look at it from a wider angle, from a wider lens, you know?
Yes.
It's not necessarily about, oh, let me just leave home and go do this. No, like you gotta really step back and just really look at it at a bigger scale and also see, you know, how people look at your city, what people are doing differently. So knowing LA was, you know what I'm saying, the mecca of the music industry, and there was so much structure to it, because I felt like when I started my producer journey, I kind of felt like there was so many points I was leaving off the board. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like at first when I thought producer, okay, he's making beats. And then you really think about it, well, no, like Quincy Jones is a producer, you know what I'm saying? Or even shout out to Khaled, I gotta give him his props, you know what I'm saying? Or Diddy, or all these other, you know, these big names, you know what I'm saying? And you really look at it and you're like, okay, they don't necessarily have to always like sequence or whatever, like manually touch things, but they're part of that overall process essentially, and literally designing a record. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're a designer. You design the record. So I felt like when I was at home, it was more so like, okay, I needed that. One, I felt like I needed the challenge, but also I needed to know what the definition really entails. So I told myself, you know what? Let me put my music producer role into a bigger test and come out to LA and see what these bigger cats are doing.
Right.
For me to really be like, okay, I'm really in this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm really in this. And then of course, you know, you really feel like you're in the industry when the first, you know, when that first label check come in. You know what I'm saying? That's when you're like, okay, I'm definitely in the industry. Like there's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no denial about that. But that's the best way to answer. Like it's kind of it was really step by step for me, and I feel like the last piece of the puzzle was leaving the crib, hopping off the porch, and really looking at being somewhere that it everything is dissected. You know what I'm saying, as far as what it entails to be a producer. So that's where I'm at.
I appreciate that, and it makes a ton of sense. First of all, shout out to Lisa the Washington, CEO of Dub Style Magazine. She is a curator in the DMV of Dub Style magazine, and she
Let's
is
go.
amazing. Lisa, make sure you already know Lisa. When I got people on, these people I think you should check out. So
So yeah,
feel free.
appreciate it.
I'll put Tone. I'll put you on with her for sure.
No, most
Um,
definitely.
but I think it's interesting that the way you put that, because again, the rhetoric is the music producer is the actual person that does the music that gets the accolade, right? Like, oh, okay, I made the beat, so like I'm like Swiss Beats or I'm like Timberland, but it's not just about, like you said, about technically putting together the album. It's you're basically a project manager, and you
Mhm.
basically you strategize everything. You gotta get the instrumentalist in, the vocalist in. You got to see the overall picture, the bigger picture. The Kanye
Exactly.
documentary goes into depth about how you put things together, like how he put things together, and you could just see the overall
Mhm.
tentacles of creativity going out. So, people need to be clear as to the direction of what an actual producer is. But
Right.
again, with you, you always had it, brother. Like that, it was just like, oh, I love this dude, man. This dude is awesome. Like he's definitely going places, which is why I had to hit you with the, hey man, take this, think this. You're gonna need this, bro. You know what I mean?
So yeah.
So I, I,
Sure.
I appreciate you and celebrate you, man, and all that you've done. But I just wanted to touch on that point because that's very, very vital to people that's in the industry, to understand the roles. Because
Mhm.
roles are, if you don't really truly understand what the roles are, you're going to be working against the current, not
Right.
understanding
Exactly.
you know what you're doing wrong. So
Mhm.
that's that.
For sure.
Um, Now I want to switch hats because not only are you a music producer, but you're a mix engineer and you're a songwriter as well. And
Mhm.
and Lisa says she supports always for sure. And yeah,
Appreciate.
and I'm telling you, she does absolutely.
That's real.
And make sure you check out Dub Style Magazine, everybody, and make sure you like and subscribe to Tone Down for What on all forms of
Yeah. Yeah.
social
Yeah.
media.
No.
Yeah, definitely. But I definitely wanted to throw out there, and I wanted to ask you the question because you are so good at what you do. But the lesser known part of what you do is being the songwriter.
Mhm.
What are essential skills that you feel that are needed
Mhm.
to be a successful songwriter?
Okay. I think there's two sides of that, right? Number one, the most important, well, probably not the most, well, I think is the most important, is to be in tune with everything, with the trends, with the culture, because at the end of the day, your songwriting, you have to be relatable. Like the artists that you're writing for, you have to be able to give them something that people can relate to.
Right,
You got to understand the cadences, that are out there, the trends, especially if you're selling, certain records. But at the same time, the other side of it is you also got to be original, right? Because it's
right,
going to be that time when you're going to have to bring something refreshing, like what makes you stand out compared to other songwriters, like where's your original taste? And it's like I feel like the best songwriters end up on that spectrum. They become artists. Like you look at art, like people like Neo, Dream, like their style was just different, and when you hear their music, it's like wow, like it was like it has like a refreshing sense. I look at
right,
Frank Ocean, for example, like he wrote Thinking About You for somebody else, but for whatever reason, I think it's because he feel like, probably the artist sounded good, but didn't really portray what he was trying to push out, and dropped the record by himself and became one of his biggest records. But at the
right,
same time, it's like if you're in this industry and you're trying to, especially if you're trying to make some money and just be there, like on the other side, when you like I've watched a lot of songwriters, like how they move. Some of them don't even write, and I started kind of doing that too, like just punch in. Why? Because a lot of these rappers, a lot of these artists that do music like that, write for themselves, do that too. So it's kind of like they put themselves in tune with, what I'm saying, these different trends that that make the contemporary industry sound.
hmm
So I definitely think it's two sides of that. You got to be original, but at the same time, you got to be able to, be in tune with what's going on.
Great answer. Also got another question. Lisa Del Washington says she's a writer, but never a songwriter. She asked, can a poem be transposed into a possible song?
Most definitely. I feel like it's all about your cadences, right? It's about how it's literally how you physically put emotion to the words through melodies. That's kind of how I see it.
Best way to put it.
Look at, I feel like a lot of these artists, you know what I'm saying? Like not a lot of them, but I feel like you have artists that transition from poetry to, like to the music per se. And sometimes I hear certain songs and it sounds like poetry to me,
Right.
like from being DMV, I know there's a lot of artists that do it and probably in different scales, but for example, I look at Wale, you know what I'm saying? And he, you can tell that he loves poetry and he comes from that poetic background and he found ways to make songs about. Ambitious Girl is a poem, but it's a song. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a song to me, there's melody behind it, you know what I'm saying? People can recite it, and of course he has different ones. Like for example, Lotus Flower Bomb sounds like a poet, like a poem to me, So I feel like it's just the way how you translate it into, a musical way. So that was a great question. I like that one.
That's why Lisa's dope. I definitely agree with you on that, and I gotta say too, in my experience, it's just been one of those things that there are Common is a master wordsmith.
Mm-hmm.
Nas is a master wordsmith. I think both of them are adept at writing poetry and being skillful. And that Black Thought is another one I think is very, very like he comes from poetry roots too. You see what I did there? Poetry roots. Anyway, but yeah, I definitely agree with you and concur with you with what you're saying. It's just how do you fit it to the meter, and how do you do it in a way that translates so that everybody can like it and receive it and understand what you're saying. So,
and that's what makes you an artist.
You said that's what?
That's what makes you an artist, literally.
And there it is. And there it is. I do want to jump because I'm trying to keep this thing to a time. I want this thing to flow. Do you have a little time in case we run over a little bit? I do want to be respectful and ask you because I know you're a very, very busy person.
Yeah, I don't work till 6 p.m. So
okay, so we got a little bit of time. I definitely still want to be respectful of your time, brother.
I appreciate it.
I want to throw out here. I want to play you the record that we have for you because I think people need to understand how you get down. All right, now. This song that we have, Gold Digger.
Mm-hmm.
How did this song come together? Who's on it? How did it like describe the whole process of how it came together and delivered it to us?
So that's I'll say I give that one to Marty. That's definitely Marty found the beat on YouTube iStar, really dope producer. And yeah, Marty one day he just sent it to me. It was like I forgot what time. It was like a random evening. He just sent me the song, and I was just like, "Yo, like this song is crazy!" Like it just fit him, like with the pianos. Like a lot of people, it felt like he did the piano. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like he was able, like as far as even performing, he was able to just perform it out there. So I think I was lit that day, and I was just like, man, I kind of want to, put a verse on it. So I put a verse on it, and that's before he had a verse. He just had the hook, so I didn't even know what direction he was going with the verses. But I just put a verse on there and sent it back to him. He didn't even know I was doing that because I usually don't. And he was like, "Yo, like this is hard." So eventually he decided he wanted to put Lizzo on there too because Liz was such a dope artist, and the impact that he's had in the DMV area, I think was crazy. Like 2 was such a big record, and not just that song, but a lot of records that he puts out there. Like I think his hooks and his cadences are so catchy. But yeah, so he kind of just decided like, yo, let me reach out to him because I had met Lizzo. He had walked in the Best Buy one day, and you know we tapped in. Just off of that, shout out to my dog Marcellus, rest in peace. Like he's the one I saw him. He was like, yo, because he knew everybody supported me doing music, even though I was just starting off. He was like, yo, Tone, come here, yo, that's Lizzo, like go holler at him. I was like, okay, bet. So that's kind of how that came about, and that was kind of like a snowball effect. And Tamari was like, you know what, let's get him on the record. And from there, we just pretty much just reorchestrated the song with the hook placements and just making sure that it was cohesive all the way through. I threw some guitars on there as well. I threw some guitars on my verse. Marty threw some original keys on his verse as well. And I think it was beautiful symmetry, you know. And then we shot the video in National Harbor, and from there, I think, you know, that transitioned into Marty and Lizzo making a whole project together, you know, called Vibes that just dropped. I believe last year. It's a great record. I'll say I produced it from a back scale, just helping putting it together. I do have one beat that I produced like on some beat maker tip on there with DJ Social, which was definitely dope. And yeah, I think it was such a great tape. It wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, and yeah, I think I love the album. I love the EP, as we'll call it. I think it's dope. It kind of it's vibes called Vibes. It's mainly for the ladies, but there's a few records. You got Choosing with Big Flock on there, which was really dope as well too. We actually shot it in Aretas in DC, which was crazy. Yeah. That's it. When Marty got his mindset on something, it happened. So. And then shout out to my dogs, my peoples. You know, they brought some whips over there, so to kind of make it look cool. So that project in itself. We also shot a few videos. Some of the songs were actually recorded in LA, which were cool too. We shot a couple videos in LA too that I know they're about to drop soon. So Gold Digger really, like, it was lit in the city, you know, like, and from there kind of just set the tone, I would say. For, you know, what we were doing music wise. So definitely a pivotal record.
Well, I gotta say, I definitely stay tuned for the videos y'all drop. Yeah, like Marty got like more videos than like most people I know. You know what I mean? And I love that. I mean, but again, he's like you, except like on a whole different other, like on a counter side, like on the other end of the spectrum. Like both y'all together, man, y'all ridiculous, man. So awesome. Nonetheless, I gotta say, let's throw out Gold Digger featuring Marty Ma and Lizzo. And Tone, make sure we understand Tone mixed this. So listen to the clarity, listen to just the perfection that he did with on the EQ. Check this out.
She said, "Love never paid the car note." Shorty, why you tryna front? This ain't complicated, girl. You know that I'm the one. I got what you want, girl. Together we can stunt. Every single day feel like the first day of the month. We can run it up, but we in too deep just to let it all go. Hardcore, feeling like Chicago. She said, "Love never paid the car note." Well, your man tried to say they all broke. Even if I got drive, shorty still ain't try ride. That's the whip, 7 figures, I know. That's the whip, drop top 2 doors. Swear to God, I ain't trusting these hoes. They ain't fuck with these hoes. She ain't showing no love, she ain't fucking no broke nigga. Shorty all about dough, little mama, she a gold digger. She ain't showing no love, she ain't fucking no broke nigga. Shorty all about dough, little mama, she a gold digger.
I got bitches, gold figure. Come and keep me real, don't get no realer. I ain't really worried about no nigga. Point a bitch out and I'ma go get her. Acting like a bitch, you a whole nigga. I don't live right, I'm a whole sinner. Got the bags on me like a dope dealer. I ain't about to spin a bag on it. I ain't about to pop a tag on it. That pussy ran through. That pussy bad, shorty. Need to get to the bag. It look like you done bad, shorty. I just might hit it once. After that, I'ma pass on it. Yo, bitch on gold, she for the team. You spent your last on it. Might break a bitch just like a pimp. I took a class on it. Hit your strip, did the dash on it. If it's sweeping, my man's on it. She got way too much ass on her. Made me want put my hands on her.
Shawty, why you tryna front? This ain't complicated, girl, you know that I'm the one. I got what you want, girl, together we can start. Every single day feel like the first day of the month. We can run it up, but we in too deep just to let it all go. Hardcore, feeling like Chicago. She said love never pay the car note. When you mad, shawty said they all broke. Even if I got drive, shawty still ain't try right. Let's the whip 7 figures, I know. Let's the whip drop top 2 doors. Swear to God, I ain't trusting these hoes. Ain't fuck with these hoes. Gold digger, baby, I can never be your nigga. In the club fucking up your liver. Everybody pouring up your liquor. They ain't like mouth, cause I bought without a boss. So you better not tell him I go with you. Baby, listen, I can hit your sister. I don't even want you like a cold dinner. My main bitch and my side bitch mad at me. We should be grown ups. Always blow my phone up. You don't get the picture, put the drone up. I ain't even about to spend no money. You mad cause your chick chose up. Soon as I roll up, she froze up like Marty slowed up. Last thing I'ma say, then I'll go. Things change when she drop it that low. And my gang telling me to let go. I keep saying I know, but it's hard to let go. She got way too much ass on her, but I won't spend no cash on her. Got my hands on the keys where they need to be, but she want my hands on her. Shawty, why you tryna front? This ain't complicated, girl, you know that I'm the one. I got what you want, girl, together we can start. Every single day feel like the first day of the month. We can run it up, but we in too deep just to let it all go. Hardcore, feeling like Chicago. She said love never pay the car note. When your man shawty said they all broke. Even if I got drive, shawty still ain't try right. That's the whip 7 figures, I know. That's the whip drop top 2 doors. Swear to God, I ain't trusting these hoes. Can't fuck with these hoes.
All of these girls, they be blowing up my line. Man, that's when they be trying me. I be flexing, I don't have the time. Know you been feeding for attention. You see me pull up in a ride. Telling your girl she be with. You seen on the gram that I say on the grind. I'm tripping in flashy designer, she feeling my swagger. I fucking I leave her, I can't be beside her. These hoes, I can't believe in. They think that the shit, it was just a one-nighter. Say she in love, but I shake it off. Closing the way, baby, take it off. Come right on a nigga, I feel you get wetter. You like when I break you off, but I gotta fall back, I don't cuff these hoes. Like the wrist game, got my heart on froze. Seen a nigga shine and you on 10 toes. Now I see your whole vibe, but my eyes closed, yeah. I told you these bitches be wildin', talking bougie, but really be trying. She fine, but don't have the time. She work with no hands and I run up the mileage, yeah, yeah.
I gotta say this. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I gotta say this too. I was reluctant in informing y'all that Tone also put vocals down on this as well. I did that on purpose because I want y'all to understand that the third verse was Tone with his buttery vocals. Now, how do you take? First of all, okay. Sorry. Let's take a step back. I love this song. I love it. I think it's awesome. Lisa Dove approves.
Appreciate you.
And said it's nice. I like it. I love it. I think it's got that bop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, today's consumer, we're a lot more smarter than consumers back in the day. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just saying that they're more aware about the plights of what's going on with the artists, like you said, the tone, the tones, the melodies, just everything. Instead of just being like, oh, I don't like it because that doesn't make sense to me because it's stupid. You know what I mean? But
right,
there's so much complexity to it. The what you're saying is dope. The flow on everything, like it's chef's kiss, man. You guys really did that, man, and I love it, man. And I gotta say to you, you need to get in the front of the damn camera some more, brother. Like, take the shot that you need to do, because like, again, knowing that you were the third verse, it's like, wait, like I know, like, wait, that you know what I mean? Like, do you get that often? Do you get people say, you know what I mean? Like, wait, that's you? Like,
oh yeah, all the time.
How do how do you compartmentalize that? How do you take that? How do you receive it? How do you process that?
I mean, it's definitely dope. I mean, it's good. It's good to know people like my sound, how I sound, my voice. I think the reason why I haven't really, I feel like I was more in tune with it, back then because I don't know. It was like I feel like back then, you know, you don't have so much responsibility when it comes to your career. You know what I'm saying, or what you're doing work wise, and it's like, you know, when you're starting off in the music game, things are choice of words, but things are a lot easier, you know, because you're not putting too much attention into detail. Like when I did that song, I think I was only a couple years into mixing. You know, it's the song is kind of older. We just threw it on the tape because you know it just fit. But I don't know, things were just so much easier back then for me to just hop in and dive in. But then I think as time progressed and I started getting so many more clients and for engineering, and it kind of takes a toll on me sometimes. And also, you know, putting a bigger hat into production, I think eventually I decided, I was like, you know what? I still do it here and there just to keep, you know what I'm saying, the penmanship going. But I'm like, you know what? Let me focus on what I got here with the engineering, but more so the production, because I feel like especially within the last couple of years, I've been doing more production. I'm like, let me dive into that, focus on that, and once I'm comfortable with where I am with it, and you know, you're always never gonna be comfortable, quote unquote, but it's like I want to carve up a little bit more time to do the writing, you know, because sometimes it does feel like, you know, you can be in that moment where you feel like you're doing a little too much, you know, and then you kind of spreading yourself thin, you know.
Yep.
But I'm definitely fortunate to be around people that push me to be a part, to do everything and not just okay, just engineer. No, like my peers would be like, yo, like get your guitar, let's produce, you know what I'm saying? Or
Right.
especially when I'm looked at mainly as an engineer, but like, no, yo, come produce. At first I was just doing guitar stuff, but after a while I was like, yo, like hop on the MIDI, you know what I'm saying? And then like after they're like, yo, like just for the sake of it, you know, try to put a hook on this, you know what I'm saying, as a reference. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And it's like, I'm fortunate to have those people around me because it's kind of like, because a lot of those things are in the moment, and sometimes you may not even realize the moment until someone nudges you, like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You know, bring your head up, look what's going on, you know, hop on it, you like feel the atmosphere, you know what I'm saying? So I'm definitely trying to do that more. And it's like I kind of look at a lot of these, I look at a lot of these songwriters that start off as a songwriter and build a certain foundation, and then by the time that they wanted to hop on the mic, like of course they had to grind like everybody else, but it just flowed much better, you know. So it's a constant battle, I'll say, but I know eventually it's gonna happen, you know. So we'll see how it goes.
It'll go well. If it's any, like I said, how you move and how you work, it's gonna go well. It's gonna go proceed as according to plan.
Nah, for real. That's the
For
plan.
sure. For sure. I want to ask you this question. What are and were your biggest obstacles in establishing yourself in this industry? You messed up with that question now.
You know what's crazy about that? And I say this in the most humble way possible.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you need to stay in your lane sometimes and just be the best person in that lane. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a conversation with my pops the other day, and he was telling me a story about Obama, how, you know, he had went outside, like he was outside his city and trying to go into like a really big conference with a lot of big names and such, and he wasn't able to get in. So eventually, you know, he realized he was spending so much money staying where he was at and his pockets dry, and he was like, you know, why am I, you know what I'm saying, doing that when I can't even get into that right room? I'm just, you know, expending all my resources like that. You know what I'm saying? It's better to just go home, recoup, you know what I'm saying, focus on your strong suits and come back. And I was like, I told my dad, I was like, that's cool, but if it were me, I would have just made a different group and focus on a lot of other people there that couldn't get in, you know what I'm saying, and start a trend that way, you know? So that's kind of how I see things, you know? It's like some people I work a lot, but physically I might work this way or whatever, but I also look at things, I look at things differently because it's like, okay, I'm in LA with people with a bunch of good producers, you know what I'm saying? A lot of great engineers. And I tell myself, okay, cool. Instead of trying to be the best, let me focus on what I can do best, like setting up a vibe, setting up a different energy when people come in the room, you know? Like, yeah, I want to be a producer, but I know the best way to get into that room is to be an engineer, you know, because then you work with all the artists, you know what I'm saying? So I don't have to be in the producer seat all the time. Let me sit in the engineer seat. You feel what I'm saying?
I love it.
Like, yeah, you can have a lot of good engineers, but not everybody really feels like doing it, or not everybody can, you know. I'm like, I might not be the best, but I'm fast and at engineering. So let me do that, because a lot of artists need fast engineers that are in tune. So I was like, let me focus on that. Let me be in that mental space. You know what I'm saying? And once you build that comfort level with people, then you can slowly transition. And you don't even have to be the best producer, but the fact, but you still got to sound, your shit still got to sound good. But at that point, people are more inclined to be like, yo, let me hear what you got. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the beat may be cool, but then they hop on it and really capture the essence of it, and the record turns out to be amazing. You know what I'm saying? But it's because you've learned your lane and you've waited your turn. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean, oh, just stand back and let things happen. But it's like playing chess. You know what I'm saying? Like the pawns are not the biggest pieces, but they make the most impact. You know?
Woo, boy.
Say that again? Oh yeah.
You feed them, bro. Come on.
Like, for real. So like that's kind of how I see it, is like people fight so hard to for the angle, but don't realize that there's so many pieces around you that can get you where you need to go. You know, if you're in like, I say, pick a lane. You know what I'm saying? If you're in a certain lane with a certain class of cars, but your car is faster than other ones in the lane, the people on the bigger lane are gonna notice that and bring you over and show you the ropes to get to the next point. They're gonna be like, yo, take this car now practice on that level. You know what I'm saying? Because of how you stand out, you know what I'm saying, in a space where you feel like you can flourish a little bit more. So that's kind of what I did with the engineering. And I never thought I was gonna be an engineer. I never thought I was gonna be a producer, but everybody just liked how I engineer, so I stuck to it, and it got me in a lot of rooms. So that's to answer your question. Like, it's in the most humble way possible, but I never felt like I had to, you know, fight or compete. It's just, you know, you got to work your way around things, you know.
Again, this is a credit to you, which is why I always had high hopes for you, because like you see it in the you see it plainly. This is exactly the way you need to position yourself. It's like, instead of trying to pick a tool in the shed, you show people the shed. Yeah, I got this. So what do you need? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's awesome, and that's a really good way to work and a really good way to do business. And you know, again, chef's kiss to who you are, man. Like, seriously. Lisa says, I agree. I think that it's a good way to move in any space, work with your best skills first, and then start to pull in other things. Stay in your lane and master it, and then add on. That approach. If Lisa approves, I approve.
That's real.
Indeed. So listen, we're gonna get to the second half of this interview, and we went really long today, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I just want to be respectful of your time. You still got a little bit of time extra, because I'm pretty sure we're gonna go. All right, bet. Before we jump on that and go into the hot topics, which you guys know is my favorite part of this show, I definitely want to make sure that you like and subscribe. Tone on social media. Let me put his info up, his math up. Make sure you like and subscribe. This person, if you got to go, feel free to jump, but feel free to tune in and ask this man questions. In the interim, and if you get this interview post being live, make sure you reach out to this man on these social media links and ask him the questions that you want to ask him. Like and subscribe. Follow this person. This person knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about, and he's definitely dope. Period. And that's just that. Without further ado, though, I want to introduce you to what's called Hot Topics. Check this out. Here we go. So, Hot Topics. Hot Topics are a series of questions that are designed for the viewers to get to know who you are, Tone. They're gonna get to know you through these random questions that I'm asking you, and that further perpetuates who them to understand who you are as a person through these random questions that I ask you. Keep it light, keep it fun. If you don't want to answer them, feel free to say I really don't even want. Not a good one for me. Just move forward. All right. First question: 3 things you didn't know. What's 3 things that the world does not know about Tone Down for What? Or 3 things that you want to clarify because, God damn it, they just get it wrong and they need to put respect on your name. What are those 3? What are those 3 things?
Oh, that's good. A lot of people don't know where I'm really from. Well, I'm from Congo. But like very few people know that. Awesome. A lot of people assume like West Africa. I get Jamaica, stuff like that a lot, but I'm from Congo. Second thing is I was actually born on campus in State College, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born. My dad used to go to, my dad went to Penn State and I was born while he was in school. So that's one thing I know. A third one, damn. I don't like balloons. I don't like balloons.
I love this. This is the type of stuff I'm talking about.
I don't like balloons.
You don't like balloons?
I don't like things that just. I don't like balloons. I'll just keep it like that.
Sorcery, and wizardry be floating for no reason.
I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't like how they pop. I don't know. I just don't like balloons.
I get it. I don't like clowns, but I think there's a lot of people that
right.
That clown. Awesome. Cool. You went straight through those 3 things though. Kudos. They ain't got no war for that. What name one thing in the world right now that either is so ludicrous that you like it's like ridiculously like seriously, and it could be anything from like Lil Nas X with the baby bump to anything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, or one thing that you think is amazing that people, a person or a company or organization or so forth and so on needs to be awarded for their work and philanthropy, or something that they just need to be actually need to be called on for something that has been done.
Gas prices. It's ridiculous. I just saw a post somewhere $7. I don't know who's controlling it. Shout out to whoever's is getting rich off of this, because this is crazy.
And he got stuck just that way. I figure that's how. I'm the same way with gas prices now, because gas prices is ridiculous. That's for damn sure. You still there? You still there, Tom? We may need to bring him back. Because he said that them gas prices make you be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the whole thing. Ladies and gentlemen, technical difficulties happens. No worries. Understands. We will bring him back. He will be back on immediately. As soon as he can. But it's situations like that they got him because he was talking about gas price. Yes, Lisa. See, my DMV folk know, because we from the place where politics is real. Okay, and these types of things, they probably listening to it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like what's the name? They're not what Lexa. You know, I don't trust Lexa. Okay, I don't trust any of those things because those things are the devil. Okay, and you listening, they will shut you down immediately. So hold on, let him know because he's texting me right now. So sorry for this, ladies and gentlemen. Like, but these things happen. Like I said, smart TVs too. TVs. I don't like technology to think they're smarter than humans. Like, I think there's an order to things, and if I make something, I don't want it to think it's better than me. That's just how I feel about it. Except my children. That's it. You know. But that's maybe a very narrow-minded perspective on things. Maybe I need to sit on the couch, talk about my feelings and my past life. I don't know. Either or. That part. Yes, they listen to everything, and the phone catches every word. It does, and that's why you gotta make sure that you cut off your cameras. You gotta put the tape over it. Like seriously, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, I know this for firsthand. You gotta make sure that you watch out for stuff like that. With regard to, I'm trying to give Tone a little bit more time to join back in. He's texting me now, so sorry. I'm talking to him to make sure that he make sure. Oh, okay. So we have to take a 5-minute hiatus for a second. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do this. Big brother is no joke. You was exactly right for sure. They're going that part. Thank you, Lisa. So let's talk about again until Tone gets back on. Join as soon as possible, as soon as you can. I'm going to try to keep this thing running. How I feel about things is this. First of all, I'm going to share with you guys how I met Tone. I met Tone, like I said previously in the interview, through Nicholas Baker, my brother of many years, and kudos to Baker. We actually had Tone on Two Flew West. That was our first instance of sharing his story, and I felt that he would be a great component to bring on here, a great person to bring on here. But the day that I met them in a recording studio, him, Feisty Future, Rick Debonair, I already knew Malik Davidge, I knew of him. But that was a breath of fresh air. Being from the DMV is a very difficult situation to navigate and creatively because we have a ton of creators. You can't look from one side of the block to the other side of the block without finding at least 10 to 15 creatives easily. In some shape, form, or fashion. Maybe they're not even in a rapper. Maybe they're an actor or maybe they're a singer. If they're not a singer or a rapper, then they're an actor. If they're not an actor, then they do fashion and clothes, or they're a cook, chef, the whole nine. And to see these people come and join in the studio at the same time and work together methodically, it's funny. Baker and I had created a team called, we coined a super team, DOPE, which stood for Doing Our Passion every day. Doing Our Passion every day. That's what it stood for. And we were killing it. I mean, we did shows, and you know what I'm saying, we even took one of the artists that I used to manage, Treese. Shout out to Treese. And there's movement with her these days, but you guys will learn soon. But took her down to South Carolina to perform, open up for Tank and Adina Howard. But to be able to see people, young people, to get it without us having to tell them the story, like they literally were doing what we were doing. It was refreshing, and all of them were just happy, energetic, and really working on perfecting their craft. And that was the thing that stood out with me meeting these people, because these guys were just hitting it, man. And like what they were doing was just, best I can say, it was just amazing, man. And that's why I've always held Tone in high regard, and Feisty in high regard, and Rick Debonair in high regard. And Rick was actually going to be previously in season 4, I think, as well to be. So, you know, it was only right that I had Tone on. And in fact, next week I have Marty Marr. Marty Marr, he's you know, he works with Tone, and I had to make sure that I get them two in tandem because they got a hell of a story and they work together closely. But nonetheless, thank you for coming back, Tone. Again. So I was just trying to hold them at bay and tell them stories about, you know, how you know, I came across y'all and you know, just how I respect you guys so much. But nonetheless, you answered 3 things you didn't know, and they ain't got no war for that. I'm going to ask you this question too. Netflix what? What's on your visual playlist? What have you been watching? I know you probably don't even get to watch TV because but you know, is there anything on TV? Maybe it's BMF. It don't have to be Netflix. It could be Hulu. It could be Peacock. It could be NBC. It could be anything, any medium. It could be a documentary. It could be episodic. It could be a feature-length film. But what are you watching that has your attention that you'd like to call out?
Well, first and foremost, I got to give a big shout out to Family Guy because I watch that consistently. Like I'll be on Hulu, I'll finish all the seasons and then start over. Like I love Family Guy. But Netflix wise, I've been definitely watching the Genius documentary. Definitely dope. And what else? The most recent movie I watched was Batman. I watched that the other day.
The Batman or the
Batman,
new one?
Yeah, the new one.
Okay. Now I gotta ask you, what were your thoughts on that?
I think it was definitely a different take. I think the movie was kind of long. It was a pretty long movie, but I think it was good. It kind of reminded me of the video games. Like he was a lot more in detective mode. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it felt a lot like, you know, like the comics and the video games. So I definitely appreciate the different take on it. You know, I feel like it was not a lot. It felt like everything was going on so much, but it was still long as well too. I'm definitely looking forward to see what they'll do with the second one. I'll say that.
I will agree with you. I'm not necessarily a fan of it, but I think it was a credible work. Mm-hmm. It was definitely a very credible work, and I agree. It's entirely too long for what they were trying to tell. Mm-hmm. I think Zoe Kravitz killed it. I think she's a great Catwoman, probably the greatest Catwoman that's not Eartha Kitt. Commissioner Gordon, I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey Wright. I think you know, Jeffrey Wright is just amazing. So definitely was watching him. And I can't say that I dislike Robert Pattinson. Pattinson, but we call him Pattinson. But I just, for this, it was just, I felt like he was like, it was Scissor Hands without the scissors playing Batman. And it just was like, ew. That's just how I felt about it. You know, but neither here nor there. Go see it. And you guys tell me what you think on social media. But that's neither here nor there. We want to go to the next question. Thank you for sharing with Netflix. My playlist popping. What's on your audio playlist? Like, what are you listening to that gives you muse, bro? That you know what I'm saying, for you to go from one day to the next?
Man, I engineer so much. Sometimes I take a break from listening to music. I'm not gonna lie, but I listen to a lot of. I'll say lately, I like Kevin Gates. I really like listening to Kevin Gates. I don't know. He's really refreshing to me. Like I will listen to random artists, not necessarily always like my favorite artist, but sometimes I'll just fall into a certain category of certain music. I definitely, that song that Peru, I love that song. I have that on repeat. I listen to different random Afrobeats, some songs, some French ones, some, like, you know, I just try to expand the palette and just kind of try to pay attention to what's going on musically outside of the U.S. Right. And it's a lot. It's definitely a lot, and it's amazing to see the type of numbers they actually put it in. It's like a lot of times, like, damn, I never heard this record where they got 100 million views, you know? So
it's interesting. I've actually had other people on from other countries. Shout out to Famo, shout out to Track Dilla. Like, it's astonishing the amount of followers and views and stuff that people in the world get, and you just don't know, never heard of. You know what I mean? But again, America, you know. But you know, that's neither here nor there. But again, thank you for sharing, man. Thank you for sharing. I do want to get to what is called. First of all, you made it through Hot Topic, so thank you very much for playing along. I do have one little game, if you don't mind playing, called Game On.
Let's do it.
And this is going to test your skills. You sure you still game for it?
I think so.
All right, so Game On. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. You could join from home as well too. I'll give you about a minute or two. You can put your phone up, turn on camera, and then scan the QR code and join it along with Tone. I'm gonna give you about 2 minutes to go ahead and collect your thoughts and decide if you're going to join, and then join, put your name in, and so forth and so on, and then we'll push through. But this game is generally pretty fun. We've had it on before, and it's just something that I like to do. You sure you prepared to take this path and this challenge, Tone?
Let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I made it this far.
Indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am in right now. Tone is in right now. Again, one more second, and trying to give you some time to tune in. But I think we're going to get ready to go. Nonetheless, here we go, Tone. Question 1. What does the term sunset clause refer to?
Oh man, I have no idea.
A, contractual term that ensures your manager won't be taking percentages. B, the specified time of day when the studio shuts down for night. C, a term for Mick Jagger taking drugs. And D, it's made up. By the way, I know the answers, so I threw it. It's a contractual term.
That's interesting.
Sunset clause. Make sure you remember that, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not about to have no points in this.
You need to have a basic grasp of music business lingo. What does A&R stand for? Artistic and reliable. B, artist and art research. C, artist and roadies. D, artist and repertoire. I didn't throw that. I wanted to go along with that. That's just basic, ladies and gentlemen. D, artist and repertoire. Good job. 2 more questions, and then we're going to move on. Question 3. What does the term drum replacement refer to? A, getting another drummer to play a part later on. B, moving the drums in relation to the microphone. C, detecting and replacing drums with sampled drum hits using computer software. And D, when the drummer breaks the skin of the drum and replaces it during a session.
Oh, it's definitely C. I figured. I thought it was like a trick question. So.
Somewhat. Last question. Okay, how many seconds are you freely allowed to, by law, to sample from a commercial song? A, none, unless it's short, atonal, and non-vocal. B, up to a minute. C, up to 30 seconds. D, up to 10 seconds.
Always right.
Correct.
I think this is a lot.
Yes, sir. And you made it through. And that's because I threw the first one, but you know what? You still won because you're a winner. I threw the first. I couldn't. I just couldn't allow myself to throw it. So thank you, Lisa, because Lisa was tuned in right here, and I didn't even see it because I was on a whole different screen. But yeah, this was just a test. General basic aptitude on music business. You know what I mean? And I knew you was gonna do well anyway. You don't know everything, but hey, we know what we know, right?
Thanks.
So thank you for joining in and tuning in with that. I have let me count these 3 more questions to ask you, and I'm gonna try to keep these short because I know you have things to do. Question number 1. How do you feel that you've paved the way for young entrepreneurs, entertainers, filmmakers, and creators?
One, by showing them, slow and steady wins the race, keeping in tune with everybody. Also telling, I've been telling a lot of people younger than me that, there's so many jobs and careers outside of being in the spotlight, yeah, I mean, that's it, and like everything is like a building block, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like what I was bringing back earlier, like find a good lane that you're at. You got to be somebody that can, for example, being an engineer, there's always going to be a demand of engineers. Engineers ain't going nowhere, and also, striving for the best. The people we see on TV, like I said, are human. So just keep pushing through. I like giving people opportunities. A lot of people ask me questions about processes or sending beats or whatever the case may be, and I always try to find ways to, to reel people in. A lot of people know I love bringing people in the room together. Sometimes it's more so like I'm not about to spoon feed you anything. I'm about to put you in the rooms, and it's up to you to maneuver like the way I maneuvered and make something out of it. And then from there you do your thing. I don't even want no credit. Just just do your thing. So different little ways for sure.
Right. But again, I love that about you, man. And again, I gotta say that, and I mean that from a very, very respectful and very, very admirable way. That's why I say you remind me of me, man. You know what I mean? Like I love the fact that you that way, because it's just, to me, it's like I can't have every dollar in America and in the world, bro. Like at the end of the day, I just want to see the people around me successful, man, and know that I helped. That does my heart justice, bro. Like it's not, and there's people who are like, oh, well, you just give me about 1,500. Yeah, I got bills, I got things I got to, they got to pay. But at the end of the day, I don't want to be that person that stands in the way from somebody else's greatness because I couldn't just help them out.
That's real.
So
that's real.
That's what it is. Thank you, Lisa. She said, have a great Sunday. She got to take a nap. And she want a crystal skate, bro. What they know about crystal skate, though, bro? I didn't know that was still open, bro. But Lisa, have a good one. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Tone, any advice for aspiring talent? You put a lot of nuggets of wisdom and gems for people to absorb and understand about how they get in the game. But what advice do you have for young aspiring talent, young entrepreneurs, and mix engineers and songwriters, and everything that you are? Because you're just a lot to follow behind. So, what advice you got for young people?
Be yourself. Don't take no for an answer. But at the same time, recognize your strong suits and your weaknesses. And if you do have weaknesses, then have a team around you that that can, if you're not that good at something, get somebody that's good at it. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you move as a unit, you just look good overall. Don't try to do everything by yourself. That's the main one. Something don't work, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be smart. You know what I'm saying? You gotta pay attention to the signs in the world. You know what I'm saying? If you're trying to do something and it's not really hitting, you know what I'm saying? Like understand what's going on and find someone that can do it. If you want to be a rapper and the rap isn't, you know what I'm saying, find you a rapper, you know what I'm saying, that you can write for. Like there's so many ways, and you never know, like because you're around people that do things better than you, you might pick up on that and end up being good at that yourself. So
right.
Definitely always keep an eye open on everything.
Love it. Last and the most important question of the day. I can release you to the rest of your day, and I know you're anxious to get back to it and get hitting. How can people learn more about you? We've been sharing your information in the episode, but how can people reach out to you and get to know and glean information from you and just support you and lift you up, brother?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely mostly on the gram. You know, that's the business portfolio now. You feel me? Hit my DMs. You know, what I'm saying, hit me up about anything to work, collab, questions. Follow the stories. I try to post as much as I can, even though, you know, a lot of us don't really like posting, but it's our job. But, you know, just tap into the gram. I'll say that's honestly the best way, or email me. My email is in my Instagram, so for sure.
And there it is. And there it is. Much appreciated, bro. Like I said, you went overtime on this episode, and I definitely appreciate you, bro.
Definitely appreciate you for having me. It means a lot, man.
Oh, man, listen. If I gotta have anybody from the DMV, it's about 4 people I need to have on, and you one of the 4 for sure. So I you know, I got nothing but love for you and respect for you, bro. And since you out here, like I told you, we got to connect again, and connect more often because you're here. Like, hello.
Yeah, no.
But that's like I'll eat that. I'll eat that. That's on me. That's a good thing. But any last words, shout outs, anything that you want to share before I get us out of here?
Last but not least, shout out to beatvla for having me on this platform. You know, I definitely had a good time. You know, great questions, very mind stimulating. You know, and yeah, you know, peace out to everybody. Hope everyone has a good day.
It's all love, brother. It's all love. Listen, like I said, it's been a pleasure to have this brother on, man. I like kindred souls, bro. Like people that I can identify with, and this is one of the brothers that I do identify with. I call him, you know, somebody that, you know, that just reminds me of a young me, but I can't even really fully say that honestly because this man is just dope in his own right, and he has his own path. And I just wish I could be like him, honestly, in a lot of ways. So, you know, Tone, nothing but love for you, brother. And whatever, you already know, whatever I can do to help, I will help you in the future. Make sure you like and subscribe to Tone Down for What on social media and all forms of just social engagement. Make sure you like and subscribe, follow this man, and just give him your business, man. Trust the kingdom with this guy. Again, this dude is dope. He knows what he's talking about. Shout out to Marty Marr, shout out to Rick Debonair, shout out to Malik Davis, shout out to the whole damn team, shout out to everybody he's working with, because if they working with him, then they on one. Shout out to just everybody moving. And make sure you like and subscribe, Beat TV LA. We got Marty Marr next Sunday.
Yes, sir.
That's gonna be an interesting one as well because he works lock and step with Tone, but he's dope in his own right, in his own regard as well. So make sure you tune in for that. Stay tuned. I really don't have anything else to say other than I'm Donnie B, got the beats. We live on the beat, and we out. Peace, ladies and gentlemen.
Donnie B.